Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another special Tuesday night live stream. This is a pre-NEC toy fair. Let's just get straight into it. The person and the man or the person you need to ask all the questions to this fine Tuesday evening is Mr. Ellis Potter. Good evening, sir.
Evening. Good to see you, Dave. Nice to be here. Nice to be here. Excellent.
No, you're welcome back, sir. Just while I sort my stuff out, can you explain everyone about the Barry Potter Fair and how it all started and that sort of stuff?
Yeah. Well, the fair has been running a long time now, since the sort of early 90s at the NEC. It was originally run by DJ Fairs. John Webb and Dave Jarrett used to run it in conjunction between them.
Yep.
And they had a parting of the ways. And then we took the fair on about 15 years ago. And yeah, it's great. It's obviously been through a tricky old time with COVID, but it's bounced right back. And we've got a whole load of stalls there this Sunday. There's going to be more than 500 tables. So all sorts of collectibles are going to be there.
So technically, this is the biggest vintage and retro toy fair in the UK, is it correct?
It is very much so, yeah. It is the biggest toy collectors fair in the country. So, yeah, we've got, as I say, more than 500 stalls there. There's loads and loads of dealers. Most sellers, I would say, are what you'd call sort of doing it for a bit of fun. You get some professional guys, but there's an awful lot of people just selling off a few bits from the collection, which enables them to buy new bits themselves. So it's great. It just keeps the whole thing going round in a big circle. It's really enjoyable.
And then basically, before we get more into that, what other shows do you do up and down the country?
Yeah, furthest north we go is at Bolton, at the old football stadium there, Bolton Wanderers football ground. Keeps changing the name, but most people know it is the Reebok Stadium. Then we do one at Doncaster Racecourse. That's really good, really strong show. We're at Buxton Pavilion Gardens. Stafford is a really good show in the West Midlands, Stafford Showground. And then we do Sandown Park, which is a really great show in Esher, Surrey, which is very much all your London and Southern collectors at that one.
Yeah. Basically, it is pay on the door at all the shows to your events. There's no pre-order tickets.
Yeah, we've not gone ticketed. We're just pay on the door. It's pretty straightforward. So you just bowl up and pay on the door and you're in. The beauty with the NEC is we've got a unique arrangement there with the NEC, in that there's free parking at the Toy Collectors Fair, which is a massive saving, because the parking now at the NEC keeps going up and up and up. It's currently $17.95 if you go to other events there. It's a chunk of money, but we have this arrangement with them whereby we buy out the car park, so everybody just parks for free. So it's great, because it's £9.50 to go in for adults, £9 for seniors, or £2 for children. And obviously, to save $17.50 right off the bat, it's almost like you've got free admission pretty much.
So technically, I know you put the table money up for the dealers, but you've also put the getting in price. But for the amount of, if you're looking for vintage toys, you're saving that so much on the eBay fees and everything else, aren't you?
Yeah, it's just great. It's the physicality of being there and chatting to people and seeing stuff, picking it up, holding it, touching it, examining it closely, that you can't do on the internet, which keeps the fairs going really well, because as much as we're all buying and selling online, it's nice to get out and chat to people that are interested in similar stuff, and just mooch around and see what's there.
Yeah. I say it's been going that long. I can remember when I first started going, like 25 years, it used to be in the pavilion.
Yeah.
Which is now completely gone. And I used to love that little hall. That was such an amazing hall. Yeah,
it's changed venue a few times at the NEC, but we're settled now on where we are, Hall 18, in the atrium there. It works out pretty well for us. It's good because all the public can queue up. If it's raining, it's all dry for them. They're not going to get wet. And the whole thing just goes very well. We've got just two there this year. Next one's in October time. So there's a long time before the next one. So you really want to get there this Sunday.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's like, originally I heard through the grapevine that last December was going to be the last one, and I was like, that's just like it's almost like a stab to your like heart, and because it's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
toy.
yeah.
You know, you were just on par as like the memorabilia shows, but you were going longer than the Comic Cons and everything in the UK.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, as you know, you can imagine a venue like the NEC. It's everything's in the tens of thousands. So it just becomes almost prohibitive for a small show like ours, where we're charging £65 nowadays for a 6 foot table. But all the other shows at the NEC, all the stall rents and the price per square foot is much, much more than ours is. So we try to keep it as reasonable as we can, because we know a lot of the sellers are just having a bit of fun on a Sunday. You know what I mean? They don't want to be shelling out 250 quid for a stall. No. They want to be paying as little as they can. So we've been working hard with them at the NEC to get the right arrangement. So the fares are back on. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for keeping it going. It's like, when you look at like Star Wars Celebration just finished, it was £65 a day just to get
I was
in.
there yesterday. Yeah.
And
I was there yesterday. Took the
got,
girls. Yeah, it was a good day out. Yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was enjoyable. Queues everywhere. Queues for this, queues for that, queues for the other. But it was busy. It was nice to see a lot of people had made an effort and got dressed up. And I think it was probably more manic the first 2 days. But it was still busy. Still busy. I think it sold out yesterday. So for Star Wars enthusiasts, it was just a great thing to be at.
Yeah. So technically, what time can like the public actually get in on Saturday then or Sunday?
Well, officially the fair opens at 10:30. So it's £9.50 at 10:30 if you want to get there then, or if you're really keen and you're really after the best chance to see things as they're literally coming out the boxes, you can get what we call an early bird entry from 8 o'clock, which is £15, which means that you can get in there when the dealers are setting up. That's just for the really keen guys.
So that's still stayed the same. The early bird's still 15.
Yes,
from 8 till 10:30, and from 10:30 it's 9:50.
Yeah, exactly. You're still able to stay all day if you come in as early entry. You don't need to get out at 10:30. You can literally make a day of it.
And it finishes still at 3 p.m.
Yeah, 3 o'clock finish. So we're all done and dusted in just a few hours, which is how it seems to go with the toy fairs. People like to be in and out pretty quick. 3 o'clock finish.
Yeah, it's like you can think of like retro, vintage toys, trains. It's like top left-hand corner. If you go in the door, if he's there, he's a guy called Rob. He does Scale Electric toys and Scale Electric stuff. Into that, he does his own club and everything else. Bottom of that line, as you go on the left-hand side, normally is Robbo Toys with He-Man, Masters Universe, baby old vintage and retro stuff. On the right-hand side, guys, you normally got Leicester Vintage Toys if they're coming. I don't know, because they've just done Star Wars.
Yeah.
This weekend. I don't know if you got some other guys there that does trains. If you want storage boxes for your toys, that's there.
Yeah.
You can see corgis, Hot Wheels, everything around the shop. There's even Lego. I started with Beanie Babies. I know everyone hates them, but there's Funko Pops just in case you want them. You name it, it is there. It's more, there's not guests, it's just retro toys to the T and vintage and that sort of stuff.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that the profile of the show, what's on the tables, keeps changing, and it's changing very much. Every show is becoming more and more exciting, if you like. There's a definite shift in the toy fairs of what's on the stalls. It's going a lot more sort of retro and collectibles and TV and film related, and it's exciting to see it changing. What's there for sale?
Well, I'm so glad it's not like, as you say, go to like the NEC, to the Comic Cons. It's all newer stuff. There is a couple of new guys there. I've got one other guy coming on round about the 8:30 that does his own toys, but he's done retro toys himself. He'll be on in a bit. But technically, I'd still say it's one of the best shows in the whole of the UK. It is unbelievable.
Glad you like it,
You
though.
know,
Glad you like it.
yeah, but so, no, thank you for your team for keeping it going. Amazing, like what you guys do behind. I don't know how much you guys do behind the scenes or what, but you must
Yeah,
do quite a bit.
yeah, well, it's ongoing all the time. We're always looking at it and working out, how we can improve it and working on it. But it's exciting because, as I say, you never quite know what's going to be there on the day. It's a lot of the faces are the same, but what they bring with them is often
Yeah,
very different. So you just never know what's going to be there. And I suppose that's the thrill of it for all the visitors. Really, it's the excitement of not knowing what you could come away with that day.
yeah. I know for a fact a couple of guys I reached out to today, they've got some like not 80s, 90s carded toys, that sort of stuff. You always try and get there early to get like the little bargains or everything. There's just anything and everything collectibles. It's hard to. There's even like, is it still go trains as well? Because I know it used to be a train and car fair.
Yeah, it used to be very heavy on the sort of trains and cars. They are still there, but less so. It's going much more action figures and that kind of scene on the tables now. Lego, a lot of Lego there. So yeah, the profile of the show is changing quite a bit at the NEC, more so probably than in all our other fairs. There's more
Yeah,
action figures and so on there than there is at any of our other events.
yeah. So technically, is the difference between all your events? Because I've only been to this one, and I think before you had Donington Racecourse. Was that before you took it over?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we used to do that, but unfortunately now it's the blooming car auction. So we'd love to be running shows there, but it's just all full of cars. And yeah, we just can't. They won't do any events there, so that one went. But yeah, I know. But yeah, all the fairs have got a similar kind of theme to them. What's on the stalls, but the NEC, I'd say, out of all of the shows, has got more stalls selling sort of 80s and 90s collectibles than any of the other events.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is unbelievable. Like, is it 550 stalls roughly?
Yeah, there's more than 500 stalls this Sunday, so it's going to be it's going to be a really exciting show. It's when those doors open at 7:30, and all the stall holders start coming in, all wheeling the trolleys in. It's like a big sea of people coming in. There's so many boxes. Yeah. It's quite something to see.
Yeah, guys in the chat, if you've got any questions for Alice or about the show, please put them in the chat. We're trying to answer a few questions that's not been asked before. I know I've been looking at chats recently for the last 24 hours to see what questions have been asked and that sort of stuff. To get a bit more insight from a couple other perspectives from other dealers that are going, which is Empire Toys 113 out, the Bugsy Boys, which are Turtle guys, Empire's a Power Ranger and Everything Collector. They normally have a couple of tales with other people. They're on tomorrow night at Toy Division. So if you're free tomorrow night, 8:30 till 10, Toy Division on YouTube, and you can find them for another different perspective of chat of how they go about doing it. So, but yeah, just guys, come out, enjoy yourself. Like Alice just said, you're saving, is it £17.50 or £20 on parking?
£17.95. Yeah. So it's so it's just like getting free admission. Really, it's remarkable. Yeah.
And technically, you can bring your own car. You can park next door, right next to the top of the steps. It is still one of the best shows for action figures, toys, cars, even meeting new people. And is it the cafe open again? Like at the top of these?
Yeah, cafe's open at the back. There is another cafe in the atrium as well. That's where the entrance where you first go in. So there's refreshments there. There's cash machines, and because it's always worth having a bit of cash on you, because a lot of the sellers don't take card. They're just doing it for a bit of fun on a Sunday, and a lot of them aren't professional dealers, if you like. So it's worth having a bit of cash, and you might be able to drive a bit more of a harder bargain as well if you're booking pound notes with the traders.
Yeah, I know a lot of us don't take card machines, but with the cash machine, they always bring cash.
Yeah,
but we always have change. We always have carrier bags for people. you know, you can think of it, the Star Wars, you name a toy, you might just find it there. You know, you name it, it might just be there. If not, come and meet some of your friends there. It is amazing day out. And so the parking is, normal shows are £25, £30 now at the NEC.
Yeah. Most shows have got a much higher entry cost than we have. And you've got to book online, and there's booking fees and so on top of that. No, for us, it's just very simple, very straightforward. You just pay on the door, you're straight in, and you can stay till 3:30 if you want to. There's it's just a very easy, straightforward day out. A lot of people enjoy it, and it's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah. I say to NEC, you do it twice a year. The next one, I think, is 1st of October, which is going to be...
Exactly. Yeah, the next one isn't till Sunday, the 1st of October. And that's it for this year. So it's going to be a long time till the next one. So, yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be there this Sunday because there's just 2 this year. So it makes it that more important that you get there. Yeah.
Especially like this, the NEC, where it's like based in the Midlands or based in the whole of the country. The Scotland's come down. I know a load of the Londoners come up all around the country. So with the NEC, like airport is literally, is it 30 seconds away on the train when you get to the train station?
Good. It's got its own train station as well, Birmingham International train station. It goes right into the NEC. And from there, it's about a sort of 10 minutes on an escalator and a bit of walking, and you're straight into the show. So you can get the train right there, which is great. Many do. We get quite a few guys each show. There's usually a small contingent that fly over from Ireland, from Belfast. They usually come to each show, so that's it's always good to see those guys. So yeah, it's just a really, really enjoyable day out.
Yeah. Any other advice you'd give to people that's coming or anything like that?
There's usually a queue at 10:30. If you're not that fussed about getting there dead on 10:30, then I'd get there for about 11, because usually the queue takes us about half an hour to get in, because it's a big old queue. Everyone wants to get there for the start. But if you don't want a queue, aim to get there for 11, and then you'll be able to walk straight in.
So technically, can you actually roll up at like 10:20, see the queue, and still do the early bird if you really wanted to?
You could do if you were really keen, but it'd be an expensive 10 minutes. But yeah, if you wanted to do, you could do. Yeah.
Well, it saves you the big queue. At least you got a 10-minute head start from the public.
That's it. But if you've got to pay the early entry, then I would say get there as early as you can. Get there for 8 o'clock if you can. Then you get a whole 2.5 hours of looking around it all at your leisure. It's going to be a little bit more spacious than it will be at 10:30, and you get first pick of any bargains.
All I'd say, be careful at 8 o'clock. You will have do you have any restriction for kids coming in at 8 o'clock with early birds or anything because of all the trolleys and everything?
They just need to be closely supervised by the parents, because obviously you've got traders swinging trolleys around and so on. So if you are thinking about coming early with kids, make sure you've got the kids close, because as I say, there will be trolleys moving around in the hall at that time in the morning.
Perfect. So technically, all you need to do, if you're coming by motorway, it is M42 Junction 6.
Junction 6, yeah, M42 Junction 6. The NEC is right there, so it's literally right there on the junction. So you just swing it straight off there. It's all fully signposted, and you're straight in. There's loads of parking. Parking's free, as I say. If you've got a few issues with mobility, there are disabled bays at the side of the hall itself. Hall 18, or there is a bus. They do put a bus on from the car parks that takes you to the main entrance.
I know occasionally they do a bus from the train station to the halls, but occasionally with only one. I think you're the only show on at the weekend.
I think there may be something else this weekend.
But that's normally the halls 1 to 5, the big near the NEC itself.
Yeah,
and then basically you just go when you come out the car park, walk down the steps to that hall on the corner, and it's that hall on the corner. You walk up to the top, through the security, down the passage, and you're in. Absolutely. If you're coming by train, it's international.
Birmingham International Railway Station. Yeah, that's it.
You get off there, you go straight up, you turn right at the top through the glass doors to the NEC itself, through the scanners, And
Yeah.
it's like you say, it's about a 10-15 minute walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
basically down these stairs, across the thing, round the corner, upstairs, along 3 escalators, down, turn left, and it's just round the corner. You are there. You know, it is a bit of a trek, but trust me, it's worth the walk.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we're the only show there this Sunday, which means that if you parked with us, then you just drive straight out. You don't need to show a little ticket or something. If there is some reason why there's another event on where it's paid parking, then what they do is we give everybody a little coupon, a little ticket to show the guy at the car park barrier on the way out. But I
I
don't
can
think we're
remember
going to do that this Sunday.
I remember last year's show. You had the Arnold event, like 5 halls across. That was just like ridiculous.
That was crazy. That was crazy. There was thousands there. It was called the Arnold Schwarzenegger Show. It was a big show for all about sort of bodybuilding and so on. And Arnold Schwarzenegger was meant to be there. Sylvester Stallone was going to be there, and they both didn't turn up at the last minute. So because a lot of guys had paid like sort of £750 to meet Arnold and get a photo and an autograph and so on, and they just didn't come. So it must have been real fun and games organising that one, getting all the earache from all the guys that had paid to see Arnold and the guy's not there.
Yeah. I know some of the other people did turn up, but I know a lot of people.
Yeah,
you could even some of the bodybuilders, some of the people actually walked around the toy fair after because they seen what was going on. That was just quite amazing.
Yeah.
I say if you are flying in, either stay in the building, go up to departures. There's a little train. Train comes to the train station, and it's then the 2 mile, 10, 5, 15-minute walk to the NEC.
Yeah.
It is. It is one of the still best events where you can still get even bargains this day. Still people. You can still get a load of toy bargains, some of the big YouTubers. I know, like a couple of Slimehouse TV. Who else you've got? Leicester Vintage Toys was normally there. They just come and say hello to them. If you watch the TV series, you've got a few auction sites. Occasionally, I'm not saying, but occasionally you do have like a few celebrities walking around. I walked out last time and then.
Yeah, I know Shane Ritchie's a keen collector, and he often does our Sandown show, and I think he's been to the NEC as well in the past. And some of these guys like to keep a low profile. Some are quite cool with people recognising them and sort of taking selfies and so on. I know Jules Holland has been to a few of our shows. He's quite a keen model railway collector, and he always has a beanie hat on and tries to keep undercover, But
yeah. Something like that. You don't want to annoy them because they're out on a normal personal day, not like a business day or that sort of stuff. But if you catch them in like a good mood and that sort of stuff, just be polite, be nice to them. As I said, Ellie said, talk to the dealers, talk to the people, get some more knowledge. If you haven't got a toy, they'll try and help you. Put you out because sometimes we have the dealers trying to get the same spots everywhere in the hall.
Yeah. That's often how it is. They often like the same spot every time. Like you talk about Leicester Vintage Toys, they're always on that wall. If you come in as a visitor on the right-hand wall there, they've always got the same spot there next to Metropolis Toys from Warwick. Chris Melbourne there, he's selling quite a lot of interesting models. So they're on that right-hand wall. All the sellers usually like the same spots because they think that the people that bought from them previous shows like to know where they are so they can go straight to them again if they think they've got something of interest.
There's something we like that. You can say you message some of your fans or tell if you're going to the NEC this week. We are. We're at the same spot. I'm normally on the left-hand side, halfway up on the left-hand side on the wall table.
Yeah.
There's normally a comic guy next to me. The other side of me is a guy from Wolverhampton called King Street Shops. He normally does Transformers. You've got a guy just after that from Sutton Coldfield. So technically there's a load of local businesses and that sort of people around. There is a lot of stuff and people. technically, I couldn't do some of this stuff. It's like I always said, we can. How do you do? Make contacts, say hello to people. There's a load of YouTubers walking around doing the videos, that sort of stuff. Now, technically, I mentioned earlier, I do have one other guy coming on. He's made his own toys and company, and me and him have been there for years and years. Hopefully, you should know him. Hope you're ready, Nick. Hope this works. Come on. If not, I've got plan B if it doesn't work.
Hello. Evening, gentlemen.
Evening, Nick. Sir.
Oh.
I'm only on 2 tablet. This one says that. There you go. Sorry about that, Nick.
There we go. You broke.
Oh, don't. Come on. Please work. Come on. Technical. There you go. Sorry about that, Nick.
Am I going to disappear or?
No, that's it. You should be 100% on.
Here. That's all right. Okay.
My tablet's just playing up a bit. It's like, crazy. Well, talking about retro toys and that sort of stuff, this guy has done, he's now famous for one item. Is it Trapjaw?
Trapdoor. People do refer to me as the kind of the trapdoor guy. Yeah. It was actually quite refreshing. I've been at Star Wars Celebration this last weekend, just as a fan, and nobody knew me as the trapdoor guy, apart from the boys from Leicester Vintage, which was kind of cool. So it was like, hey, I was just here kind of enjoying myself. So yeah, trapdoor is the main thing that people are kind of aware of us for, I think. We do there's the Fiendish Feet as well, which we've done, and at the moment the big thing that everybody's kind of going ooh is Cholton and the Wheelies. So
yes, I remember that one. You also did Count Duckula and Novatron and a few other bits of Space Invaders.
Space Raiders. The first shots of Space Raiders happened late last week before I went down to London for the weekend. So the new Space Raiders figures are now in production and they look great, which is kind of cool. So the new Space Raiders figures are on the way. Anybody that's looking out for like Cholton and Fenella and that kind of thing. Cholton, there's just give me a moment. Cholton is deep into production at the moment, so he's really into production at the moment. Fenella is starting production. So is Count Duckula. The Count Duckula 3-packs. I unfortunately don't have anything to show you on those at the moment, but they're also in production at the moment. So anybody that was hoping to come and buy kind of Cholton and the Wheelies and stuff. We did say this though a while back. There's been quite a few people who've been contacting us and saying, "Oh, we'll have them for the NEC in April," and it's like probably not. No, because I don't think people realize just how long this stuff takes to do, kind of thing. It's not imminent. It's not overnight. So yeah.
So that's crazy. So technically, then, guys, all we're trying to say this Sunday, if you want something vintage but brand new now, come and see Nima Studios. It's still retro and vintage. Is it out? When was it out now? The old stuff?
Oh God!
Don't show your age, please.
Oh God! What? So like the earlier stuff that we did.
Must be. I know the Novatron was 80s. You got Count Duckula was 90s.
Yeah. So Duckula, like Cholton and the Wheelies, is late 70s, early 80s. Trapdoor is early to mid 80s. Space Raiders was late 80s into 90s. Duckula, I say we might have prototypes on display, but I'm not going to promise anything. There's other stuff as well. There's other things from from our little customs house as well that we've got stuff coming that's interesting for this weekend. For those of you who like, because I'm a toy fan as well as being a toy maker, so I like to create stuff that didn't exist, as long as I don't get in trouble for it, because I can't get a license to do things from, like the Ewok films, for example.
Yeah.
As much as Lucasfilm doesn't really care about those, and as much as Hasbro does not care about those in any way, because there's only like 10 people that want those figures. I like to make those things because I want them. So
yeah.
So there's some Ewok stuff that we've got. There's some Ewok movie stuff that we've got, and there's a new figure from THX 1138. If anybody knows that movie, that's George Lucas's first film from the early 70s. What else is there? Maybe something from a certain Mel Brooks knockoff movie. Maybe something from that this weekend. Because again, that's not supposed to have merchandise, but
yeah, so crazy.
Yeah.
So technically, Nick, I know you've walked Pain Rain more than us. What can actually people expect to see other than your amazing stuff? What other things can you remember like to see at the NEC Toy Fair?
I think, to be honest, like I'm hoping to be able to get round it on Sunday, because I do like to go around this thing myself, because like I say, as much as I make toys, I am actually a toy guy. I am a toy guy myself. I think the thing is, I like to kind of go and hunt for particular things, and there's not many places. Although I will say Stafford is becoming quite the place of recent. I've got to give a shout out to, because I kind of, in the absence a little bit of the NEC this year, not being 4 times a year, Stafford is really becoming quite the show. So I think, at the NEC especially, so many people come from all over the country in terms of dealers anyway. I know I'm going to see more at the NEC than I'm going to see anywhere else. And I always kind of go looking for a split between kind of retro stuff and modern stuff. I'll hold my hands up and say I am not a toy and train, a car and train guy. That's not my era. That's not my thing. If that is your thing, it's there.
Yeah.
In abundance. But I think it's great, because like some shows you'll get, and I think Ellis will agree with me on this, there'll be more kind of like car and train centric, and then you'll get other things that'll be more action figure and more kind of like 70s modern like focus, whereas the NEC's got all of it, and that's where you get the great mix of like everything from kind of like down here to kind of like 70 and 80-year-old guys who are like been doing this for decades, kind of wandering around. I mean, me personally, I as I said, there's a lot of stuff that people you can see. As I said, there's your dinky and your corky, there's your trains. Although I always find it hilarious if I'm next to somebody with trains and they ask me what gauge a track is, and I'm like, I don't know. What are you asking me? Ask the dude over there. That's like asking me tomorrow's lottery numbers. It's like 7. Is that it? I don't know. So there's that, and then you've got your vintage stuff, obviously, from your Action Man, your Dennis Fisher. Your Dennis Fisher stuff now is insanely collectible. Your your $6 Million Man and your Muton Cyborg stuff and that stuff from Dennis, and the Doctor Who stuff from Dennis Fisher. It's usually, this is one of the only shows as well where I get to see Greg and the guys from Big Chief. Because they're usually there because they're locals. So the amazing stuff that they bring in, which is all very retro, but it's modern, the same as what we do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Star Wars, obviously, and there's nothing wrong with that, because you know me, I love Star Wars. But there's a lot. But
we're quite close. Yeah, we're close to Leicester, aren't we? Where it was made. So.
It's not just that. It's that, like, out of every toy brand on the planet, Star Wars is the one.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Star Wars is the daddy of all of them. A lot of Motu, although I would say you're seeing Star Wars is always there in abundance because it's but you're seeing, I think the NEC really these days is the only place where you'd see a lot of Thundercats, a lot of He-Man, a lot of that, a lot of Ninja Turtles, because that stuff now is becoming extremely high end. And at the smaller shows, you don't see so much of the higher end Ninja Turtles, Thundercats, He-Man, because people are holding on to that stuff. So the NEC is the only kind of place where you get to see a lot of that higher end stuff. And then I don't know whether you would agree with me on this, Dave, or not, but like there's a hell of a lot of modern, or what was a few years ago classed as modern, that nobody really wanted, like 90s stuff that is now just creeping up and up and up and up. And I mean, I can remember when I did my first NEC, God, like nearly 7 years ago now. Like something like a crash test dummy, you couldn't give that thing away. And now they're commanding like 50 quid for a carded figure. And it's like, because it's 90s, and 90s is, oh, Jesus, it's like early 90s, something nearly 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of stuff. And I think that's one of the great things. And then, of course, you've got your modern retro. You've got your modern toys, but then you've got modern retros now as well. I mean, I was fortunate. I was at Star Wars Celebration this last weekend, and I got to go and check out the Hasbro booth, and I was checking out like all the Indiana Jones retro and Star Wars retro stuff that they've got. So it's a whole thing. And I know Ninja Turtles is
big,
deep diving into retro now, isn't it? Started out with just the four of them and the wagon, and now it's like storage shell turtles and all the bad guys and sets and everything like that. They're just reissuing the same figures because we've gone full circle. I mean, Motu Origins was basically all the same figures with extra
bit of view. Yeah. Anything else you'd put onto that, Alice, or anything else?
I think as Nick's saying, what's interesting is it's very much a generational thing. You've got all these guys now, because the 90s was obviously pretty much 20, 30 years ago now. A lot of time's passed. And what we remember as thinking, that's recent, it's actually 20, 30 years old now. Yeah. So it's becoming collectible. When the fairs first started in the sort of like late 70s, early 80s, people were selling things from like the 30s and the 50s and the 60s. Now it's much more sort of 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. It shifts with the age of the collector. You got a lot of new guys coming in now after things like your $6 million man, your A-Team, your Ghostbusters collectibles, Ninja Turtles. They're really hot. He-Man's just, the prices are just going crazy for He-Man stuff.
Even at things like the NEC, like I can remember my first NEC was a Christmas one. It was about 7 years ago. Guy next to me was selling off his collection because he wanted to take his kid to Disney World, right? And at the time, I couldn't believe the prices that people were paying for these carded. They were all carded and boxed. These carded He-Man figures, and he sold like a Scareglow figure, I think it was, and it was something like 350 quid. And I'm like, you can't buy a loose one complete for that now.
Yeah,
it's nearly $1,000 for that figure on a card now.
Yeah.
If I'd have known then what I know now, I just would have bought the whole lot.
When I was a kid, Star Wars came out. I remember seeing it at a local cinema in 77, and I got into it, and I was sort of buying the figures and playing with the figures, and as you do. My dad was actually buying and selling. He just jacked his job in, and he went full-time dealing, selling sort of Hornby trains from the 30s and dinky toys and so on. And he would never have dreamed that all this Star Wars stuff would be collectible. They're all £1.50 a piece in W.H. Smith's, and he was buying and selling old toys. And he never realised that you can just buy and put them away, and they're going to be worth thousands. But if we'd have thought it through, then it's all a nostalgia trip, isn't it? Everyone's trying to recreate a bit of the youth. And now, Star Wars is such a multi-generational thing. I was at the Excel yesterday for the Star Wars celebration, and they're all there, kids from the age of, just young kids up to, middle-aged guys and elderly people. It's just a huge universe is Star Wars. It draws in other people to other collectibles as well, I think.
Yeah,
it really does, and I think it's crazy. I mean, I don't know if you got a chance to get round much of it yesterday, Ellis, but like there was the Vectis booth that was there.
Yeah.
And you know those guys, right?
Yeah.
But the table on the end of the Vectis booth that was physically selling the graded and perspex cased vintage figures.
Mm.
And I just stopped, and I was obviously looking at this stuff because these are like $3,000 and $4,000 each minimum.
Yeah.
I did a quick like tally as I was stood there on the Saturday. This was waiting for a friend of mine, and I was going, "There's over $100,000 on the end of this table, just on carded action figures." And I'm like, "There's over $100,000 in front of me just on carded action figures."
Yeah.
Crazy. And not to mention what some of the stuff that Vectis had on display. Because, that was like the dream shopping list. You kind of go in and go, oh, one of those. It's there's so much money involved in it, isn't there? It's like, I've been saying this for a while, that if you're not already carded figures, and carded Star Wars figures especially, if you're not already in this and deep in it, you can't start.
Exactly. It's a very high barrier to entry now. You're going to need tens of thousands if you want to put a good collection together now of boxed carded figures, aren't you? It's not going to be easy. Yeah.
It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, I mean, because I very went, like you're saying, about £1.50 and all that kind of stuff. I can remember I came to Star Wars in, when was it? Would have been 85, 86. I was 86 it was. I was 4 years old. And I can remember, like, I get my pocket money, and there was a newsagent in town, and of course they were being dumped at this point. They were well gone.
Yeah.
There was no love for Star Wars. And I'd inherited a like a metal dustbin, it was, that had R2 and 3PO on it, and it had my uncle's Star Wars collection just in it, kind of thing. And I wanted to add to it. And you used to be able to take this, and it always makes me cringe. This, you used to be able to take this, my pound coin, like my weekly like pocket money, to this newsagent and buy 4 figures for £1.
Wow.
In a big bin. In a big bin it was. That's bin in this newsagent. He'd be like, oh, how many have you got there, lad? And I'd be like, oh, I've got 4. And he's like, oh, have another couple. You'll be fine. Ewoks and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've got 6 figures for £1. Take them over every week.
Wow. Yeah. Those were the days. Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. Just that bin. Now you're thinking, oh God, just that bin.
But with your own figures, Nick, I'm guessing the runs must be very limited. Each production, each figure you're doing, I'm guessing the numbers must be quite low. So they're going to be surely collectibles of the future.
I hope so. I do hope so. I mean, some stuff is higher run numbers than others.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, Trapdoor, for example, like Burke is our biggest selling figure ever. We sell Burke to toy collectors and to people who just want him for on the PC in the office. You know what I mean? Because they're like, oh, I feel like Burke most of the time with Burke. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, fair. It's great, cool. So yeah, so Burke is a huge one. We do have like a lot of people that do collect our stuff. I always find it really, it's very humbling, and it's very it's a difficult thing to describe when you kind of like, it's like it's not lost on me how lucky I am. Like when I get up in the morning, other people, they go to the office or they go to the supermarket or they go to a builder site or whatever it is they do for a living, and yet I get to get up in the morning and I make toys for a living. Now people think that's really glamorous, and like there's 5% of it at the end, which is like Sunday. Sunday is the 5% end bit which is the glamorous bit where I get to kind of come and go, hey, how's you doing, everybody? And talk to everybody and sell the wares and all this kind of stuff. And I love that bit. The rest of it's like being burnt by things or you know, plastic going all over the place or you know, sealants and lacquers and kneeling down in chemicals that you're going, I really shouldn't have done that and stuff, that kind of thing. But again, it's not lost on me, you know, I say how lucky I am to be able to do this for a living. And yeah, and it's very, very humbling when you start to see the same faces all the time, and you start to see the same people come up, and it's a new one, and it's like, yeah, and whereas, like, you know, people would pull out their phone and show somebody their Star Wars collection or their you know, or their Thundercats or anything like that. They're pulling out their phone to me and they're going, this is my Nemo Studios trapdoor shelf. Or this is my Fiendish Feet collection. This is my Novatron collection. Or this is my Duck Boy collection. I'm going, holy shit. Wow, okay. These guys are collecting our stuff. And I've even got people that are like, they don't collect a particular brand of ours. They just collect us. And I'm like,
yeah.
So I'm hoping. I mean, what is also really weird is we've seen like stuff that we made because we wanted to make it. So like the first Space Raider, the first Astra Space Raiders figure, the 3 3/4 inch one. We did it and it worked and it sold and it reached the end of its run and we didn't think any more of it. And then suddenly there was a thread on Twitter where somebody posted like the crisp bag or something stupid, and it was like, oh, do you remember these? And then it was like, yeah. And then halfway down the thread, somebody posted the picture up of our figure, and they were like, did you ever see this? This company made this figure from the crisp packet, and we were, and then suddenly, I like a friend of mine said, have you seen what's happening on eBay with these things? And I went, no. And he went, like, your Astra figure that like sold out like 6-8 months ago and was 20 quid when it came out is selling for like 60 and 70 pound a piece on eBay because people want one because they've seen it on this thread. And I'm going, really?
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me because once they've gone. And if people want it, then it's just, you know, it's just a question of what two people want to pay, isn't it? Once the supply is dried up, then, you know, the price is only going to rise.
That's it. I mean, I saw somebody had bought the other day on eBay, like one of the original Deathlatron 3 3/4 inch figures from the first 6 Novatron figures that we did, like 3 years ago, and somebody paid $90 for this thing on eBay, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You paid how much for that? That was a £20 figure, and it's like $90. Lord Buckethead, when we did the Lord Buckethead figure, is averaging $50 to $60 on eBay, and I'm like, really? There's a new one of those coming out shortly. You know what I mean? It's just crazy stuff like that. It's like, okay, that's a bit weird, and it ends up being weird where you kind of, but also kind of, like I say, really humbling because you're going, all right, I made that. Well, we made that, you know, and yeah, I've got to say as well, Dave. Right, I'm loving the fact you've got a figure there, right above your head that I've been looking for. Yeah. Like the red genie from Aladdin, I had that thing when I was a kid, and I love that figure. So I'm gonna have to humble this down. There he is. Oh, I've broken it. There he is. That one. I know. It's not even rare. I just want one.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest figures I found. So it's all my American Toy Fair adventure trip behind me and that sort of stuff. And I picked up another like Aladdin from the toy shop, and then like the trapjaw, and then I picked up that from the charity shop the other day.
Nice.
You know,
I don't normally do the showing off wares, but I did actually buy something at Celebration yesterday from a very, very amazing guy called Billy Galaxy.
There's the other one.
Nice. From the US. I got to give him a shout out because he was brilliant. And I've never seen one of this. Is like one of the kind. And if anyone's watching, like, what kind of things do you expect to see at the NEC? This is the kind of stuff that you're buying if you've never been to the NEC. But even I've never seen one of these. I was like, I've got to buy this. I have to have this. This is 1983 Ideal Star Team Night of Darkness. It's a Darth Vader knockoff, and it's 12 inches, the same as Darth Vader, same as Action Man.
Yeah.
Look at how incredibly bad that is.
I've never seen that before.
I knew it existed, but I'd never seen one, and I'm like, I must have this. Look how bad that facial expression. Look at that. How bad is that?
Well, he had his cloak.
He had his cloak and he had his gun, and he's still intact with his boots and everything. And there's still some silver on the front here, and I was like, I have to have this.
You could you could get quite a nice collection together of all the kind of Star Wars knockoffs that they used to make in the sort of like 80s when Star Wars was massive and they didn't want to shell the money out on the license, but they wanted to make some kind of toy that would be some kind of spin-off. You know, you could get quite a nice collection together of all those kind of items.
Oh, yeah. And I think this I mean, because I say we made Lord Buckethead. He was one of them, very famously. Lucasfilm tried to sue the original creator of the movie, saying that it was a Darth Vader knockoff and it didn't work, and he won. And the movie came out, and it's let's just say, I mean, even though we hold the license for that figure, let's just say the movie's not good. It's really not. I'd be lying if I said it was a good film. But it's of its time, shall we say? But yeah, you're right with the Star Wars knockoffs, etc. And some of those things, like some of the actual bootlegs, not just like knockoffs, but some of the bootlegs of the original figures from like Turkey and stuff like that. Holy moly! Yeah. The money they're worth is more than the original figure that they're knocking off. It's unreal. I mean, I didn't go. I wasn't at it myself, but some friends of mine, like the guys from Leicester Vintage, you could see it. I'm going to shamelessly plug their Toy Shop on Tour show, because if you've not seen Toy Shop on Tour and you're into toys and you're watching YouTube right now because you're watching Dave's awesomeness and listening to me rabbit on and whatever, the Toy Shop on Tour thing is for you because it's brilliant. But they've done a Star Wars Celebration episode, and they show you like one of the room sales that go on late at night, and wow, some of the stuff that's on there is like, holy crap.
They had like Lily Lady carded, Ewoks, you name it. They had different countries, shows, posters, original prototypes, first shots. It was like,
have you seen
it's almost like it's almost like it's almost like you're going to like a high-end poker match. It's the easy way to describe it. It's a high-end poker match where just Star Wars. But then I also watched one of the other friends came across from America on the same Friday night. They were doing like Star Wars discos and Star Wars parties in like certain clubs, and I was like, how can people like find all this stuff? It's like, but that Leicester Vintage, when they went round, it's like Lily Lady stuff. They had Viva and Dexter's knockoffs.
It was like the most. I think Joe said it was the most Brazilian model trem he's seen in one place ever.
Yeah, and
it's like, what? They're just, including their G.I. Joe knockoff. Which were they're using lead parts, but they're reusing them from Star Wars figures, and it's like, holy, it's just unbelievable. But in terms of parties and stuff, Ellis will tell you, man, there's you go down to Celebration, it doesn't stop at the XL.
No,
it takes over the entire area, and it's great.
Yeah.
You should go, Dave.
I was tempted to go. I was tempted, but I got a few other things came up. And a few bits this weekend, so I was gutted. I really wanted, but I couldn't.
Well,
Plus, we like the NEC. So
it's in Japan in 2 years. So
Japan's too dangerous for me. Last time I went to Japan, I bought back like 38 boxes, and then the big ones. So I cannot do that. So I'd love to, but there you go.
Yeah.
Mr. Ellis, anything else you want to add to the final 5 minutes of the stream before we head off?
I think anyone watching will be hopefully quite intrigued about going on Sunday, because it's just the discovering, what could be there. No matter what you collect, there could be that piece there that you really been looking after, and that's the excitement of it all, the buzz, the thrill, the chase, the anticipation of what you might find, and you never lose that as a collector. You never lose that intrigue of getting up on a morning and thinking maybe that piece might be there. I might find something that I really want that makes it all worthwhile. So that's the fun of the fairs.
To add to that, I mean, I've heard stories about, because everybody hears stories about the NEC, and I hear stories about toy fairs, and literally you can go from anything from, I was there about a year ago, and it was the first time ever I'd seen a boxed Clash of the Titans Kraken in mint condition. Yeah. I'd never seen another one since. I'd never seen one before, and this guy had one. And next to it was a boxed, immaculate 1979 Kenner 18-inch Alien. On the same stand, this was.
Yeah, and it's the kind of show. It's the kind of show where those kind of pieces do turn up. Yeah.
It's also the kind of show where you hear the stories and stuff of where you can be rummaging through a box and you can pick up something like a Thundercats driller for like £2.
Yeah.
It's that kind of place. It's like you could go from this is £1,000 and it's graded and you'll never see one ever again. I seem to remember as well, just to put this into perspective, the only time I've ever seen a US flag, a G.I. Joe flag, was at the NEC.
I've seen more at the NEC Toy Fair than on the other shows. The only other show that actually literally had the flag and the box was the early days of Henry Cook memorabilia, which started after the Toy Fairs. It was one of the early days of NEC memorabilia, classic memorabilia show, which technically you don't. The closest thing to that now is probably Barry Potter's Sawyer Train Fair this Sunday.
Yeah, it's a good show. The mix, as I say, is changing very much. It's becoming very, very retro, very cult TV and film. It's really quite exciting to see what's on the stalls lately.
But you can also get like your trains, your cars, the old Action Man from the 70s, the 60s.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's GT Vam Collectibles. They specialise just in Action Man. They'll be there this Sunday. So
will Vectus be there again?
Vectis do it every now and again. I don't think they're there this time, but there will be, because there were a Star Wars celebration, of course, yesterday. But it's going to be a really exciting show.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say from all of us. Thanks for keeping the show going. We see it's only twice a year, but it's going to be amazing. Hopefully, the turnout's going to be really good. It's going to be, if you want to meet Nick, that does all his figures, talk to Nick if he's got a chance. I'll be there selling my normal stuff off on the left-hand side, free sweets and a few bits to give away. Ellis will be at the front with all the family. There's also a leaflet as you come into the show with all the details on for the Barry Potter fairs. Even if you want to give the show a call, it's all the details. He's right at the beginning of the show. They normally give you a leaflet as you come in. Early birds are £15 from 8 a.m. Normal admission is £9.50 for adults, £9 for OAPs, and £7 for kids.
£2 for kids.
£2
for kids. Yeah.
But the best thing about it, free parking.
Exactly. Yeah.
Saves you £17.95, I've heard.
Winner.
So guys, please come and enjoy, support the Barry Potter fairs. especially the NECs, to keep it going, and say thank you to like Alice. Thank you for coming on again. Nick, thanks for coming on for the last half hour, giving your perspective and everything from the show to the show.
No worries.
Don't forget, the Toy Division guys with a different type of NEC toy chat will be on tomorrow night. And then I should be back with a person called Dark Liking on Thursday night. And don't forget, NEC Toy Fair this Sunday, 16th. Come and join us. Come and have fun. Just not, if you want to see what some of the prices go for, opens your eyes up to collectors. You might just run into somebody famous. You know, I'm going to say thank you so much for everyone. Guys, I'm going to say please stay safe, keep well. Don't forget to share this video around with some of your people. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to say thanks for everyone, and guys, thank you and good night.
Excellent. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Nick.
See you Sunday. Nice
See you Sunday.
Bye, Dave.
Bye-bye.